The story of the forbidden cave. The haunted whisper. It started with a whisper. The villagers always warned us about the cave in the hills. They said it was haunted, that strange things happened there. But one night, as I lay in bed, I heard it. A voice, soft and haunting, calling my name. My heart raced as I sat up, my room filled with an eerie silence. I knew I had to find out what was in the forbidden cave. The voice was gentle, yet chilling, like a breeze that tickles your spine. I looked out of the window, seeing the hills bathed in moonlight. The cave, hidden in those hills, seemed to beckon me. I knew the stories, the ones about the powerful sorcerer banished to that cave, and the strange disappearances of those who dared to enter. Despite the fear gnawing at my insides, curiosity gripped me tighter. I needed to know what lay within those dark, mysterious depths. The village secret. The next morning, I asked the elders about the cave. Their faces grew pale, and they refused to speak of it. My grandmother pulled me aside and told me the story. Long ago, a powerful sorcerer was banished to the cave, cursed to remain there forever. Anyone who entered never returned. Her warning sent chills down my spine, but my curiosity was stronger than my fear. She described how the cave's entrance was marked with ancient symbols and guarded by a chilling presence. "It's not just a cave, child," she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "It's a prison for a dark soul." Her words lingered in my mind all day. The village seemed quieter than usual, as if everyone sensed the weight of the secrets I had uncovered. Despite my grandmother's caution, I couldn't shake the urge to uncover the truth. That night, I decided to take matters into my own hands. The plan: I decided to explore the cave. Despite the warnings, I gathered my friends, Kofi and Amina, and shared my plan. They were hesitant, but eventually agreed. We prepared for our journey, packing food, water, and a lantern. Als night fell, we set off towards the hills, our hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. The path was rough, and the moonlight cast long, eerie shadows on the ground. Kofi tried to lighten the mood with jokes, but I could see the tension in his eyes. Amina clutched her amulet, muttering prayers for protection. We reached the base of the hills, the entrance to the cave looming in the distance. The air grew colder as we climbed, each step bringing us closer to the unknown. We paused at the entrance, taking a moment to steel ourselves. Then, with a deep breath, we stepped into the darkness. The journey begins. The path to the cave was steep and rocky. The moonlight guided us as we climbed higher, the village growing smaller behind us. The air grew colder, and an uneasy silence surrounded us. Every rustle in the bushes made us jump. We kept moving, determined to uncover the truth about the forbidden cave. The hills were eerily quiet, the usual sounds of the night absent. It felt as if the world was holding its breath. Kofi led the way, his grip on the lantern tight. Amina followed closely behind, her eyes darting nervously. I brought up the rear, my heart pounding with each step. The entrance to the cave was just ahead, a dark moor in the side of the hill. We paused, exchanging nervous glances. "Are we really doing this?" Amina whispered. "We have to," I replied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. Together, we stepped into the cave, the darkness swallowing us whole. The cave entrance. We finally reached the cave entrance. It was dark and foreboding, with strange symbols carved into the rocks. A cold breeze blew from within, carrying an unsettling whisper. We hesitated, but our determination pushed us forward. We lit the lantern and stepped inside, the light casting eerie shadows on the walls. The air was damp and musty, and the sound of dripping water echoed through the cavern. The symbols on the walls seemed to pulse with a faint, eerie light. Kofi held the lantern high, revealing a narrow tunnel that stretched into the darkness. "This is it," he said, his voice trembling. Amina clutched her amulet tighter, whispering a prayer. I took a deep breath and led the way, my heart pounding. Each step echoed in the silence, and I felt as if the cave itself was watching us. The deeper we went, the colder it became. Shadows danced on the walls, and the whispers grew louder. We were entering a place where few had dared to tread, and there was no turning back now. The first encounter, as we ventured deeper into the cave, we heard strange noises. A soft, rhythmic tapping echoed through the darkness. Our lantern flickered, and we saw something move in the shadows. It was a figure, tall and cloaked, watching us from a distance. We froze, fear gripping us. The figure vanished, leaving us with more questions than answers. The air grew colder, and the tapping continued, like a heartbeat in the silence. "Did you see that?" Kofi whispered, his voice shaky. "It's just our imagination." I tried to reassure them, but I wasn't convinced. Amina clung to my arm, her eyes wide with fear. We moved cautiously, every nerve on edge. The tunnel twisted and turned, and the lantern's light seemed barely enough to pierce the darkness. Suddenly, we stumbled upon a small alcove. Ancient drawings covered the walls, depicting strange rituals and eerie creatures. In the center, a stone pedestal held a glowing crystal. The sight of it filled us with both awe and dread. This was no ordinary cave. The hidden chamber. We continued deeper into the cave, our fear growing with each step. Suddenly, we stumbled upon a hidden chamber. It was filled with ancient artifacts and strange drawings on the walls. In the center of the room was a pedestal with a glowing crystal. The air was thick with a strange energy, and we felt a powerful presence watching us. The artifacts were unlike anything we had ever seen, carvings of unknown creatures, tools made from materials we couldn't identify. The drawings on the walls depicted scenes of magic and chaos, battles between light and dark. The crystal on the pedestal pulsed with a soft, eerie glow. "What is this place?" Amina whispered, her voice trembling. "It feels alive," Kofi added, his eyes fixed on the crystal. I approached the pedestal, feeling an invisible force pulling me closer. The air buzzed with energy, making my skin tingle. I reached out, but before I could touch the crystal, the chamber filled with a blinding light. We were thrown back, and the ground shook violently. The cave was more than just a place, it was a gateway to something powerful and dangerous. The crystal's power. Curiosity got the better of us, and we approached the glowing crystal. As Kofi reached out to touch it, the room filled with a blinding light. We were thrown back, and the crystal's light revealed hidden passages in the cave walls. The ground shook, and we realized the cave was alive with magic. The crystal held immense power, and we had just awakened it. The light from the crystal exposed intricate patterns on the walls, glowing pathways that seemed to lead deeper into the cave. "What have we done?" Amina gasped, shielding her eyes from the brightness. The ground beneath us trembled, and a low rumble echoed through the cave. "We need to leave," Kofi urged, but the newly revealed passages beckoned us. The power emanating from the crystal was both terrifying and mesmerizing. We had stumbled upon something ancient and dangerous, something that defied explanation. As the light began to fade, we knew we had to choose: turn back and leave the mysteries of the cave behind, or venture further into the unknown. Our curiosity and fear battled within us, but in the end, we decided to press on, determined to uncover the secrets of the forbidden cave. The shadow beast. As the light faded, we heard a growl echo through the chamber. A massive, shadowy beast emerged from one of the hidden passages, its eyes glowing red. We backed away, terrified. The beast lunged at us, but Kofi grabbed the crystal and held it up. The beast recoiled, its eyes fixed on the crystal. It seemed to fear its power. The creature was unlike anything we had ever seen, large, with a body that seemed to be made of pure darkness, shifting and writhing like smoke. Its growl reverberated through the chamber, shaking the walls. Amina screamed, and I felt a surge of panic. "Stay back," Kofi shouted, holding the crystal higher. The beast snarled, but did not advance. The light from the crystal cast long shadows, and the beast seemed to shrink away from it. We realized that the crystal was our only protection. "We need to get out of here," I said, my voice trembling. The beast's eyes followed our every move, but it did not attack. Clutching the crystal, we slowly backed out of the chamber, our hearts pounding. We had awakened something ancient and terrifying, and we knew we were in grave danger. The escape plan. Realizing the crystal was our only defense, we devised a plan to escape the cave. Amina would lead the way, while Kofi and I held the crystal to keep the beast at bay. We moved cautiously, the beast following, but not attacking. The cave walls seemed to close in on us, and the air grew colder. We knew we had to hurry. Amina led us through the twisting tunnels, her eyes darting nervously. The light from the crystal flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The beast's growls echoed behind us, a constant reminder of the danger we were in. "Keep moving," Kofi urged, his grip on the crystal tight. The path was treacherous, with sharp rocks and uneven ground. We stumbled and tripped, but kept going, driven by fear and determination. The beast stayed just out of reach, its red eyes glowing in the darkness. "There's an exit up ahead," Amina called, pointing to a faint light in the distance. We quickened our pace, the sound of the beast's growls growing fainter. Just as we thought we were safe, the ground shook, and a rock slide blocked our path. We were trapped, and the beast was closing in. The false exit. We found what we thought was an exit, a small opening in the cave wall. But as we squeezed through, we realized it was a trap. The walls closed in, and we were separated from the crystal. The beast roared, and we were plunged into darkness. Panic set in, and we desperately searched for a way out. The narrow passage was suffocating, and the sound of the beast's growls grew louder. "We need to find the crystal," Kofi shouted, his voice echoing in the confined space. Amina and I scrambled in the dark, feeling the walls close around us. The air was thick and cold, and our breaths came in short, panicked gasps. "Over here," Amina called, her voice trembling. She had found a small opening that led back to the main chamber. We crawled through, the beast's roars reverberating behind us. Finally, we emerged into a larger space and saw the crystal lying on the ground, its light dim but still glowing. Kofi grabbed it, and the light flared, pushing the beast back. We were safe for the moment, but we knew we had to find a true exit and fast. The cave was a maze of danger, and the beast was relentless. The return of the crystal. In the pitch black, we heard the soft glow of the crystal. Kofi had managed to retrieve it, and its light revealed a hidden tunnel. We regrouped and followed the tunnel, hoping it would lead us to safety. The beast's growls echoed behind us, growing louder and more menacing. The tunnel was narrow and winding, the walls covered in strange, glowing symbols. "We have to keep moving," Kofi urged, holding the crystal high. The light flickered, casting eerie shadows. Amina clutched her amulet, her face pale with fear. "I can feel it, getting closer," she whispered. The air grew colder, and the ground beneath our feet seemed to shift. The beast's growls grew louder, reverberating through the tunnel. We moved as quickly as we could, our breaths coming in short, panicked gasps. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a larger chamber. We paused, catching our breath. The chamber was filled with ancient artifacts and strange symbols, much like the first one we had found. "This must be another part of the cave," I said, my voice trembling. We knew we couldn't stay long, the beast was still following us. With the crystal lighting our way, we pressed on, determined to find a way out. The sorcerer's curse. As we navigated the tunnel, we stumbled upon a chamber with a large stone statue. It depicted a sorcerer, his face twisted in agony. An inscription revealed that he had been cursed to guard the cave for eternity. The crystal was the key to breaking the curse, but it required a great sacrifice. We realized that freeing the sorcerer might be our only way out. The statue's eyes seemed to follow us, and the air was thick with a sense of foreboding. "This is the source of the curse," Kofi said, his voice echoing in the chamber. Amina read the inscription aloud, her voice trembling. "To break the curse, a great sacrifice must be made. The crystal holds the power, but it comes at a cost." We exchanged nervous glances. The weight of the decision pressing down on us. What kind of sacrifice? I asked, my heart pounding. The ground shook, and we knew we didn't have much time. The beast's growls echoed in the distance, a reminder of the danger we were in. We have to try, Amina said, her voice steady. With a deep breath, we placed the crystal on the statue's pedestal, hoping it would be enough to break the curse and free us from the cave's grasp. We faced a difficult decision. Breaking the curse could free the sorcerer and endanger the village, but it was our only chance to escape. We argued, fear and desperation clouding our judgment. Finally, we agreed to use the crystal to break the curse, hoping the sorcerer would keep his end of the bargain and let us go. The chamber seemed to grow darker as we prepared to make the sacrifice. Are we sure about this? Kofi asked, his voice wavering. It's the only way, Amina replied, her eyes determined. We placed the crystal on the pedestal, and the ground trembled beneath us. A blinding light filled the chamber, and the statue began to crumble. The sorcerer's spirit emerged, a ghostly figure with sorrowful eyes. He looked at us, his expression a mix of gratitude and sadness. Thank you for freeing me, he said, his voice echoing. But the magic of this cave is now unstable. The air crackled with energy, and we knew we had to move quickly. The sorcerer's warning echoed in our minds as we prepared to leave the cave. We had made a choice, and now we had to face the consequences. The sacrifice. With heavy hearts, we placed the crystal on the statue's pedestal. A blinding light filled the chamber, and the ground shook. The statue began to crumble, and the sorcerer's spirit was released. He appeared before us, a ghostly figure with sorrowful eyes. He thanked us for freeing him, but warned that the cave's magic was now unstable. The air crackled with energy, and the walls seemed to close in around us. You have done a great deed, the sorcerer said, his voice filled with gratitude. But the cave's magic is now out of control. You must leave before it's too late. The ground trembled beneath our feet, and we knew we had to move quickly. How do we get out? Kofi asked, his voice urgent. The sorcerer pointed to a hidden passage, revealed by the light of the crystal. Follow this path, he instructed. It will lead you to safety. We nodded, our hearts pounding with fear and determination. The sorcerer's spirit began to fade, his form dissolving into the air. Thank you, he whispered, his voice barely audible. With the crystal lighting our way, we hurried towards the hidden passage, hoping it would lead us to safety. The cave began to collapse around us, rocks falling from the ceiling and walls crumbling. The sorcerer urged us to follow him, leading us through a hidden passage. We ran as fast as we could, the ground shaking beneath our feet. The roar of the collapsing cave echoed behind us, and we knew we were running out of time. The passage was narrow and treacherous, with sharp rocks jutting out from the walls. Keep moving, Kofi shouted, his voice barely audible over the noise. Amina stumbled, but I grabbed her arm, pulling her to her feet. The sorcerer's ghostly form led the way, his figure flickering in the dim light. The air was thick with dust, making it hard to breathe. We're almost there, the sorcerer called, his voice echoing through the passage. The ground continued to shake, and I could feel the cave closing in around us. Finally, we saw a faint light at the end of the passage. With a final burst of energy, we sprinted towards it, the roar of the collapsing cave growing louder. We emerged into the open air, collapsing to the ground in exhaustion. The cave behind us crumbled, sealing its secrets forever. The final test. We reached a large chasm with a narrow bridge made of stone. The sorcerer urged us to cross quickly, but as we stepped onto the bridge, it began to crumble. We moved cautiously, one step at a time, the chasm below us growing wider. The sorcerer stayed behind, holding the collapsing cave at bay with his magic. The bridge was narrow and unstable, and every step sent pebbles tumbling into the darkness below. Don't look down, Kofi warned, his voice shaking. Amina clutched her amulet, her face pale with fear. We have to keep moving, I urged, trying to stay calm. The sorcerer's figure flickered, his magic straining to hold the cave together. Hurry, he called, his voice echoing. The ground beneath us shook, and the bridge cracked under our weight. We moved as quickly as we could, the chasm below us growing wider with each step. Finally, we reached the other side, collapsing to the ground in relief. The bridge crumbled behind us, and the sorcerer's figure faded. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice barely audible. We had passed the final test, but we knew we weren't safe yet. The bridge collapsed. As we neared the end of the bridge, it finally gave way. Amina slipped, and Kofi and I barely managed to pull her to safety. We reached the other side, but the sorcerer was trapped. He used the last of his magic to push us through a hidden exit, just as the cave collapsed entirely. We found ourselves outside, safe but shaken. The sky above us was clear, and the air was fresh. We lay on the ground, catching our breath and trying to process what had just happened. "We made it," Kofi said, his voice filled with relief. Amina clutched her amulet, her hands trembling. "I thought we were done for," she admitted, her voice shaky. We looked back at the cave, now sealed off by the collapsed bridge and rocks. The sorcerer's sacrifice had saved us, but we couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. "He's gone," I said quietly, my heart heavy. We stood up, dusting ourselves off. The journey had been long and terrifying, but we had made it out alive. We knew the cave's secrets were now buried forever, and we were grateful to be safe. It was time to return home and share our story. The sorcerer's gift. The sorcerer's spirit appeared before us one last time. He thanked us for freeing him and gave us a parting gift, a small, glowing stone imbued with protective magic. He warned us to keep it safe and use it wisely. With that, he vanished, leaving us to ponder the true nature of the forbidden cave and its magic. The stone glowed softly in my hand, its warmth comforting. "What do we do with it?" Amina asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "We keep it safe," Kofi replied, his voice filled with determination. The sorcerer's warning echoed in our minds, reminding us of the power and responsibility that came with the stone. As we made our way back to the village, we couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and gratitude. The sorcerer's gift was a symbol of his trust and the bond we had formed. "We need to tell the elders," I said, my voice firm. The journey had changed us, and we knew we had a duty to protect our village. The stone's magic would be a powerful tool, but we had to use it wisely. With the stone in hand, we headed home, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The return home. We made our way back to the village, exhausted and covered in dust. The villagers were shocked to see us, having feared the worst. We recounted our adventure, the dangers we faced, and the sorcerer's curse. The elders listened intently, their faces grave. They knew the magic of the cave was powerful and dangerous. "You were brave," my grandmother said, her eyes filled with pride. "But you must be careful with the stone." The village gathered around us, their faces reflecting a mix of relief and concern. We showed them the glowing stone, explaining its protective magic. The elders debated what to do with it, understanding the importance of keeping it safe. "We must protect it," one elder said, his voice firm. "It's our duty to ensure the village's safety." The stone was placed in a secure location, guarded by the elders, and only used in times of great need. The village thanked us for our bravery, but we couldn't help but feel a lingering sense of unease. The cave's magic had left its mark on us, and we knew we had to stay vigilant. Our adventure was over, but the stone's power was a constant reminder of the dangers we had faced. The village's decision. The village gathered to discuss what to do with the glowing stone. Some wanted to destroy it, fearing its power, while others believed it could be used to protect the village. After much debate, it was decided that the stone would be kept safe, guarded by the elders, and used only in times of great need. The elders constructed a secure shrine to house the stone, ensuring it was protected from those who might misuse its power. "We must honor the sorcerer's gift," my grandmother said, her voice filled with conviction. "But we must also respect its danger." The villagers worked together to build the shrine, their efforts reflecting a renewed sense of unity and purpose. The stone's glow provided a sense of comfort, a symbol of the courage and determination that had saved our village. As the shrine was completed, the elders performed a ritual to bless it, ensuring the stone's magic would be used wisely. The village gathered to witness the ceremony, their faces filled with hope and gratitude. We knew the stone's power was a double-edged sword, capable of both great good and great harm. With the shrine in place, we felt a sense of peace, knowing we had taken the first step towards protecting our future. The nightmares. In the days that followed, we were plagued by nightmares. The images of the cave, the beast, and the collapsing walls haunted our dreams. We realized that the cave's magic had left a mark on us, and we struggled to find peace. The elders performed rituals to cleanse us, but the nightmares persisted. Each night, I found myself back in the cave, the growls of the beast echoing in my ears. Amina and Kofi experienced similar dreams, their faces pale with exhaustion. "It's like the cave is still with us," Kofi said, his voice trembling. The elders reassured us that the nightmares would fade with time, but we couldn't shake the feeling of unease. My grandmother suggested we spend time in nature, reconnecting with the world outside the cave. We took long walks through the village and the surrounding fields, hoping to find solace in the familiar sights and sounds. Gradually, the nightmares began to lessen, but the memories of our adventure remained vivid. We knew we had faced something powerful and dangerous, and it had changed us. Despite the lingering fear, we felt a renewed sense of strength and resilience, determined to move forward and protect our village. The final challenge. One night, the voice returned, calling my name. It was the sorcerer, warning us of a great danger approaching. The cave's collapse had unleashed dark forces, and we had to use the stone to protect the village. We gathered our courage and prepared for the final challenge. Knowing that our adventure was far from over, the sky darkened and a storm brewed on the horizon. Dark creatures emerged from the forest, drawn to the village by the stone's power. The air was thick with tension, and we felt the weight of our responsibility. "We have to protect the village," Kofi said, his voice filled with determination. Amina held the glowing stone, its light casting a protective aura around us. The creatures were unlike anything we had ever seen. Their forms, shifting and shadowy, stay together. I urged, my heart pounding. The villagers gathered, their faces reflecting a mix of fear and resolve. The elders led the way, using the stone's magic to create a barrier around the village. The creatures clawed at the barrier, their growls filling the air. We stood our ground, ready to defend our home. The final challenge had begun, and we knew we had to be strong. The battle. The sky darkened, and a storm brewed on the horizon. Dark creatures emerged from the forest, drawn to the village by the stone's power. We stood together, the glowing stone in hand, ready to defend our home. The battle was fierce, and the creatures were relentless, but we fought with all our strength. The air crackled with energy as the creatures attacked, their forms shifting and shadowy. The stone's light cast a protective aura around us, but the creatures clawed at it, trying to break through. "Hold the line," Kofi shouted, his voice filled with determination. Amina held the stone high, its glow intensifying. The elders used their knowledge of magic to bolster our defenses, chanting ancient spells. The villagers fought bravely, their fear replaced by a fierce resolve. "We can't let them through," I urged, my heart pounding. The storm raged above us, lightning illuminating the battle. The creatures howled, their attacks growing more desperate, but we stood our ground, united in our determination to protect our home. As the night wore on, the creatures began to weaken, their forms dissolving into the shadows. The stone's light pushed them back, and we knew we were close to victory. The dawn of peace. As the first light of dawn broke, the creatures retreated, defeated by our determination and the stone's magic. The village was safe once more, and the sky cleared. We had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. The forbidden cave secrets were now a part of our history, a reminder of the courage and unity that had saved us. We vowed to protect our village and cherish the lessons we had learned, knowing that we were stronger together. The villagers celebrated, their faces filled with relief and joy. The stone was placed back in its shrine. Its power, a constant reminder of the battle we had fought. "We did it," Kofi said, his voice filled with pride. Amina smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude. My grandmother hugged us, her embrace warm and comforting. "You were all so brave," she said, her voice filled with emotion. The village gathered to honor the sorcerer's gift and the strength that had seen us through the darkest night. We knew that the future would hold more challenges, but we were ready to face them together. As the sun rose, casting a golden light over the village, we felt a deep sense of peace. We had faced the forbidden cave and its secrets, and we had triumphed. That is the end of our story, for now. But in Africa, every ending is just the beginning of another tale. If this story stirred your soul or sent chills down your spine, subscribe to Sawathi African Folktales for more thrilling, mysterious, and powerful legends passed down through generations. Tap the bell so you're the first to hear the next tale whispered by the ancestors. Until next time, sit close to the fire, keep your ears open and your spirit ready.